What's up? My name's Megiddo, and thank you so much for tuning in. Today we're taking a look at the Pioneer Dj Rr and my first impressions after tour. Here we go. I just got back from Cancun, Mexico, and I DJ'd with this wonderful piece of equipment. In fact, it is a little bit dirty. Okay, so there are a couple of key things that will take you to the next level and make you extremely professional when you show up for a gig with the Dj Rr. And I want to show you a couple settings that you really need to know about in Rekordbox and on the Dj Rr. The first things first, if you are a DJ that does not use the crossfader, meaning that you basically are through out, you DJ using audio through, meaning you just use the faders. A lot of house DJs use just the faders. Now there is a default that happens every single time to where the crossfader is enabled every single time. I really want Pioneer to come out with a software update, a firmware update that will allow you to automatically always have the crossfader disabled, meaning audio through every single time. But as of right now, there's not. So every time you open up the program, you're going to see right down here, channels 2 and 4 are on the right side, and channels 1 and 3 are always going to be on the left side. And when these boxes are enabled, that means the crossfader is enabled. So basically, so as you can see, the crossfader is defaulted always enabled. Pioneer really needs to come out with a software update that fixes this to where you can set your preference, because when you show up to a gig, you're going to have to think about that right before you play. And that could be a problem. You could have it, you could be mixing and then you actually hit it over and you think it's disabled, and then there goes your audio and it messes up your DJ set. So that's the first big thing, and for me, I've really enjoyed not using the crossfader. You get an extra level of volume when you do audio through. I've really started to enjoy this type of DJing where you're just using your faders. I thought the levels that came out of this were excellent. I was really happy with that. I will say that if you unplug the power cable, you will lose some volume. So it is important to have this plugged in to a power source, and then also, you know, connected to your laptop, because that's what you're controlling, is the audio coming out of this. But it is true that when you're just USB powered, you will lose some volume. Another thing that was a little disheartening is I have the Magma DJ XL bag, which basically can fit the Tractor S4. And unfortunately, this is basically 2 inches wider, or 1 inch on each side wider than the Tractor S4. And this basically does not fit in that bag, nor does it fit in like a carry-on bag. So what I did was I bought a deck saver and I put it in my large suitcase and I checked it. Now it's great. Now the one thing that I will say, if you buy a deck saver, on the bottom of the deck saver, it'll basically touch the level right here. And I suggest putting maybe some cloth or some kind of like light, you know, the soft part of Velcro that you can stick, maybe put something right there so it doesn't scratch this plastic, because I did just have to order some plastic polish because I can see some slight scratches along the edges, and that really, my OCD just drives me crazy. So definitely suggest being careful about that. So it is a little disheartening about, it's just slightly too big to put into a carry-on bag. Now I could really stuff it into my Magma DJ XL bag, but it's like super tight, and it's like you can feel it along the edges of the bag. The corners are like really tight. So unfortunately, when I travel, when I fly, I have a tour that I'm going on into the Netherlands in September. I will probably put a deck saver on this and put it in a big bag and check the bag. But other than that, this is a great controller to travel with. I really think this is just a perfect solution if you're on the go DJ. One of my favorite things about this controller is the browse knob. It just feels so good, and I love how it feels. It's so smooth and just nice. This is one of like my favorite parts because you're constantly using the browse knob when you're looking for tracks, and it's just such a joy to use. I really love it a lot. The slip functions work great. I love that. The quantize, you know, I don't use the sync button, but if I did, it's right there and it lights up. I love the way the jog wheels feel. I love the way the jog wheels feel. They feel great. The trim knobs work great. Now I've customized my Ddj Rr with some chroma caps from DJ Tech Tools. I love it. I love how their knobs feel. They work great. All the functions work great. I will say that you cannot remove the faders or the crossfader. It was a little too hard for me to remove, so I decided I'm not going to rip them off because I don't want to break them. So basically, they're stuck on there. I haven't been able to remove them, so I just kind of left the black ones off. It would have been nice to have removed them, but I'm not going to force them off. But other than that, everything worked great. It didn't fail me once. Even when it started raining, I even played this thing in the rain. When it started to rain, I had to cut my set short that day. There was water all over this. There was water all over my computer. I was like freaking out, and it held up great. It still held up great. And I'm super excited because I've started this new series called DJ Everywhere, where I DJ in unique places, and I'm going to be using this some. I'm going to be using the Ddj Rr some. Another thing, if you're going to play this in bright daylight, you really need to know the functions of your controller, because the lighting, when it's really like I was playing at the beach, it was super bright. These necessarily weren't always lit up so bright because it was so bright outside, but that's with any kind of controller. So I was doing stuff like this so I could see the levels, and then I don't really do this because I know the functions. I'm so very familiar with the functions of what effects I want to have and where my hotkeys are, so I know those. The lighting of the pads and the levels, I really had to kind of shield it from the really, really bright sunlight, but I was in extremely bright sunlight. Okay, so I got a question about the Ddj Rr and whether or not it can control 4 decks at a time. And yes, it is possible. But let me show you the settings, a couple of different things that you need to know if you're going to control 4 decks. First things first is you have to go into your settings. So let's go over here to Record Box. Let's open up our settings. And I have created a keyboard shortcut, Command, comma, which is pretty much a standard open up any settings in Ableton Live or anything like that to automatically open up my settings, and you can do that as well, and I can show you that in another video. Leave me a comment down below if you want to see how I did that. And what you're going to do is you're going to click on Controller right up here, and then you're going to go into the Mixer section. And then if you're going to scroll down right here, and it defaults, I believe it defaults to 2 channels. So basically if you selected 2 channels, so you've got channel 2 playing, and when you switch to deck 4 and then try to play a song, let's try to play a song right now. It won't play both songs at the same time. So what you have to do is you've got to go back into your settings. And this does save. This does save. So once you change this, it will save your settings, and you'll go to the 4-channel mixer. Now, as you can see, I have it set up with a 2-channel deck, which is great because it gives you a little bit more real estate when you want to look at your tracks down here. And then you've got basically 2 channels up here. So when you switch, back and forth, it will actually change the deck on the screen to that channel 4 and then back to channel 2. As you can see, it's playing right now. And the other thing you need to know, if you're going to control 2 decks with 1 channel and 1 platter, what happens is you have this song playing, so I'm just going to keep this on a loop. and I'm gonna have it at mid volume right here. And then I'm gonna switch over to this new deck. Alright, now if you check out right here, let's go into Record Box. Look right here, there is a ghost fader right here. And basically, this fader has to meet the ghost fader in order for this new channel to be enacted. The same thing goes for the filter knob. As you can see when I lifted it up, it basically had to catch where the previous deck was in terms of that fader. So basically it had to return to 0. So that is one thing to be aware of. If you're like, hey, why isn't my song playing? And you've got your fader all the way up, but if you had just clicked on that new channel, if the ghost fader is all the way down, and even though your channel is all the way up, and you play audio, and then I go over to my other deck. So basically, that could be, if you're like, hey, why isn't this deck playing? That is the reason why. You just kind of jog your fader so it matches that ghost fader and gets in line with the new channel. But like I was saying, I absolutely love the browse knob. I love the slip reverse. It's just such a great thing to have. Just being a part of the Pioneer family and DJing with Record Box I just love the flexibility of being creative. It's just absolutely so much fun. Just the type of effects that you can use. I mean, I absolutely love that fade to gray. Basically, that delay out is just such one of my favorite transitions. And then another thing that I've really loved is this release knob. I'm just absolutely loving that in my sets. And you can change it to different ones, like batch spin on the fly. That's just like really great to do, like right before a big drop. You just kind of press that release knob, or let's say you've got, but also the release knob can handle like releasing the effects as well. So right there, it turns all the effects off. You just kind of click it once, but if you held it down, it would vinyl break it. I just love that effect. I really am just excited about what Record Box has in store. I think they've got some great things. I think from a firmware update and from a software update, there's just a lot of great potential that could come from this software and this line of hardware. This is an excellent choice of professional gear if you're looking for something under $1,000 and looking for something more simple and compact. If you're not playing on CDJs, or if you want to be able to show up to a place and know your gear, know your software, this is one of the best things on the market in my opinion. I absolutely love this for the price point versus other controllers in this market. I really am just such a fan of what this has to offer. Now I have the Pioneer Ddj Rr. I also have the Traktor S4, and I'm a bigger fan of what this can do versus the S4 in terms of flexibility as a DJ, the effects, the color effects that you're offered. It's just so much fun to play on this, and I'm super excited about what Pioneer has for us in the future in the terms of firmware updates and also updates to their own software Record Box. My name's Megiddo. Thank you so much for tuning in. I just have such a passion to take your craft to the next level when it comes to production and DJing. And I'm just so excited about what we have in store on this channel. So please like and subscribe and comment and let me know what video you want to see next. See you next time.